All right, Mike versus the world on this edition is Tennessee quarterback Hendon Hooker, the Heisman Trophy favorite as we sit here today. Mike, I have to tell you the answer is he is not. CJ Stroud of Ohio State. He is your Heisman Trophy favorite at this point in time. I think he's the betting favorite. A little birdie told me he's like 28 passing touchdowns. I know we don't do stats around here, but a little birdie had told me something about 28 passing touchdowns.
Stats are fine.
He's obviously,
I don't have a problem with stats.
he's on, well, you told me not to. He's on the premier team in the country, the team everybody wants to root for, and the team everybody wants to see win. And I think here's the thing. I think he has one big game coming up, which is a de facto play-in game against Michigan, where if he balls out in that game, it'll be on national TV in front of everybody. He has an opportunity to write his signature Heisman moment. You're going to tell me Hendon Hooker had his moment against Alabama. He still got some season to play, right? There's still opportunity for him to maybe have a clunker in there, maybe throw a couple of bad picks. Heck, Tennessee could lose at some point in time, where I think you got CJ Stroud national stage against a Michigan team that somebody else on this little video once told me had a very elite defense. If CJ Stroud goes in and carves them up, puts up a bunch of big points, a bunch of yards, Ohio State goes to the national championship game, and then there's no way they leave out CJ Stroud for Hendon Hooker. This is no disrespect to Hendon Hooker. He's having a much better season than I think any of us thought he would, but I think the name recognition of CJ Stroud is there. I think people kind of thought maybe last year was his opportunity. Almost kind of feels like you have to work your way into this, right? You lose one, then you win one. He comes up short last year to Bryce Young. I think obviously this Ohio State team is pretty good. They're going to make it farther than I think Tennessee will. And again, not a knock on Tennessee, just kind of the way things line up with the SEC cannibalization. So CJ Stroud, I think, is your Heisman favorite. Although I think this is closer than you would think, though, by the way. I do think this is a tighter race than I would have told you it would have been 6 weeks ago.
Well, and, we were talking about no stats, and I don't remember saying that, but I agree with you. Stats are kind of boring. And we were talking off camera, we thought Hooker had more rushing touchdowns. He's only got 3. So he's got 18 touchdowns, 1 interception, 3 rushing touchdowns. He doesn't have the stats of C.J. Stroud, but what I'm hearing your argument is that C.J. Stroud essentially plays less competition. He has 1 difficult game left, and he's going to put up stats against a bunch of patsies. That's what I'm hearing you say. Now, let me make my counter. Hendon Hooker has an opportunity to continue his Heisman, road to glory with a top 25 Kentucky team, with a good defense that made, guys who are very talented like Anthony Richardson look awful. Georgia, the number 1 team in the country, and then the SEC title game. So he's got a better opportunity. He's already got his Heisman moment, so to speak, leading Tennessee in that huge victory over Alabama and everybody smoking cigars and rushing the field and all that stuff.
Is he what you remember about that game, though?
No, I remember the smoking cigarettes and Jermaine Burton pushing a girl in the face, and the and the atmosphere after the win, and of course Jalen Hyatt with 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's what I remember. I understand who threw them, but the Heisman moment is watching Jalen Hyatt run wide open in the secondary. Like that's the Heisman moment. That's a tough one.
But listen, when you're talking about the end of the game, they missed a field goal, and he had to make 2 big passes in clutch situations to set up a 40-yard. It's not a Heisman moment. It's not a Desmond Howard, return and he's striking the pose, but it's a Heisman moment more than C.J. Stroud. What's he got? 6 touchdowns against Michigan State. Is that his Heisman moment? They suck. They're horrible. Rutgers, is that a Heisman moment? No. So he's got one opportunity to either screw it up or cement it, which is, better betting odds. But Hendon Hooker has a bunch of opportunities.
And we're throwing Rutgers out, but we're keeping UT Martin on there for Hendon Hooker.
He didn't. I don't think he padded his stats in that game.
I think they were up like 45-0 at halftime. I'm pretty sure he had a couple of tutties in there.
I think they were down 7-3 early, and then he led his team back to a raucous when the band was comeback victory. Another comeback victory.
Do you think Tennessee can beat Georgia?
I think they can. I don't know if they will, but I think they can. Yes, I think.
Do you think Ohio State can beat Michigan?
I think they can. Yes.
Which one of those two do you think is most likely?
More likely Ohio State beating Michigan.
And that's where I lean. I just feel like that there's more runway in front of CJ Stroud right now than there is Hendon Hooker, right? To me, all Hooker can do is fumble it, right? All he can do is have a clunker, have a stinker, do something, that maybe gets on a negative side where I think CJ Stroud can build up. Admittedly, he's playing the poor sisters of the blind. I get it, but he can build up and then he can have a great game against Michigan, right off into the sunset. They're going to be going to the national championship game in the playoffs at that point. He'll be the golden boy. Hendon Hooker will definitely be in New York. Don't wear an orange suit. It's going to be tacky look for you, but I think CJ Stroud's got the trophy. Man. No, don't wear an orange suit. Please, Josh Heupel, don't wear an orange suit. My goodness. The Mark Mangino memes are enough, Heupel. Don't do it to you. I care about you.
What would Heupel look like in an orange suit? Like a pumpkin, right? Like a big pumpkin. I want him to look like a pumpkin. I love fat guys. I'm fat. I love fat guys. Fat guys should wear pumpkins. So I understand what you're saying.
Just keeps going. Okay.
And this is kind of it's really an interesting debate simply because, as you mentioned, I mean, Stroud really has one obstacle, whereas Hooker has many. But, in video games, whatever, listen, I'm 100 years old, so I played Pac-Man. Or Sonic the Hedgehog, is that a thing? That was a game I played.
It is a thing. I don't know how this relates to Heisman trophies.
You remember the rings? There's a lot more opportunity for...
That's where you went with this analogy?
Okay. Yeah, I don't really have a better one.
You should lose your argument on that alone.
What about gems? Was there one where you got gems? Dig Dug or something. So anyway, there's a lot more opportunity for him to gather votes.
Like when they first made the Heisman, Mike played
gather votes as he moves along in these big games. So it's a really good debate. Now, listen, if CJ Stroud goes on to throw 60 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, beating Rutgers and Wisconsin and Michigan State and Iowa and all these crap teams and a crap Notre Dame team that we thought was good at the beginning of the season. I didn't think, but a lot of people thought. Good for him. Kudos. It's a crap schedule. It's a crap Heisman. Congratulations on winning it. And what are you going to do? You're going to beat Illinois in the Big Ten championship? Woohoo! Good for you. But Hendon Hooker has an opportunity to lead Tennessee to a potentially undefeated or one-loss season, get to the SEC championship, win an SEC championship for the first time. If he does that, it's done. It's over. So if they both run the table, Hooker's winning it. There's you can't argue that, right? You can't argue that. There's no way you can argue that. SEC bias?
Yeah, I guess.
What? How can you even
if there's anything that can go against SEC bias, it's Ohio State, though.
No.
If there's any one school that can break, it's Ohio State.
13-0, right?
Yeah.
In a crap Big 12.
But they beat a good Michigan team, obviously.
But let's just say it's a down Big 10, okay? If that Penn State team that lost to Michigan is the third best team in that conference, they suck. The SEC is the SEC. It doesn't matter if it's crap or not. People respect it. And Georgia is Georgia, the number one team, national champs. Alabama, if they run the table and beat them in the SEC championship, it's still Alabama. There's no way. If they run the table, Hooker's got it. It's over. Done.
I don't disagree. I think it's 60. I think it's 60-40 though. I honestly think CJ Stroud still gets a ton.
I think it's a lot.
I think if any school can break up that SEC bias, particularly like Tennessee's not a blue blood, right? I mean, they're a team people hated 2 years ago, right? They're a team that Jeremy Pruitt ran into the ground, right? They are coming back, but they're not Alabama, Georgia, where they automatically get that respect. I think there's some people. Well, I mean, in the sense of they are not your traditional. They've been great over the last 10 years. When's their last Heisman Trophy winner? Like they're not a school, I think that is on that list.
They've been actually snubbed for the Heisman more than they've actually won it. I mean, Peyton got snubbed. That was a joke. And they've been snubbed more than they've won. And I get that. Ohio State wins Heisman trophies. Alabama wins it. But I'm telling you, if they run the table, it's over. Now they have to run the table, and that's very, very difficult. Kentucky's going to be hard. Georgia's going to be hard. The rest of the schedule is crap and easy. That's fine. And then you got the SEC championship.
Well, they have to run the table, and he has to play well.
Oh, doesn't matter.
He can't. Well, he can't go 17 of 34 for $189, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, and a 17-14 win against Georgia. That's not Heisman winning.
I think he can if the rest of his stats are like 35 touchdowns. If he has the stats he had last season, which I believe was like 33 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and they are undefeated and the number one team in the country, he's the Heisman winner. I don't care if CJ Stroud throws 55 touchdowns for Ohio State. I think that the cachet that he gets from Tennessee sucking for so long and being back and the SEC and how strong the SEC is apparently on paper and how bad the Big Ten has been this season, I think wins it out. But to your point, listen, the easier one, if I'm betting today, and I don't know what the odds are, I should probably look them up because I love gambling. I would say the betting favorite probably is CJ Stroud right now. And Hooker's definitely number 2, and it's probably close. They beat Kentucky and they beat Georgia. Hooker's the favorite. Okay. He's the favorite going into that Michigan game, and maybe Stroud flips them at that point in time. But then after the SEC championship, it's going to be really, really close. It's these next 2 games for Tennessee, honestly, that will determine, I think, who is the leader in the clubhouse. But I think you can flip a coin right now and say it's Stroud or Hooker. So it's a good debate. But statistically, I get what you're saying. I mean, the numbers are ridiculous. It's just I wish he was playing good football teams. There's not one good win for Ohio State. Can you name a good win?
Not yet, no.
Sucks. I mean, it's just that's disappointing because CJ Stroud is and he's also got more weapons. I mean, you could talk about Jalen Hyatt, but Tillman's been hurt. Brew McCoy's good, but I mean, he's got 5-star wide receivers that are 3rd string. Julian Fleming. He's just got so many weapons. He got 2 great running backs. I get where you're coming from, but I'm going to say Hooker's the favorite because let's pretend all things are equal and they both run the table. There's no doubt in my mind Hooker's winning it. So he's my favorite until he loses. Bam. I think I did well on that one. I usually suck at these because you argue for a living, right?
Loosely.
And I hate that. I hate that I chose you because I suck at arguing against people like you. Like, do you work in human resources or something?
I know people.
I hate you. I've been in front of people like you.
I bet you have. I bet you have. I bet you have.
And you know what? When I am in front of them, they always argue better than me. And I always like,
it's because you're always guilty, Mike. That's probably what happened.
It's true. But this one, I thought I did well in the Hooker one.
You did.
I'm pretty
Kudos
proud of
to
myself.
Mike. Congrats.
I'm coming along, man. You watch yourself. Hookers for life.